Good morning, beloved. Peace be with you. Today we celebrate the memorial for St. Anthony Maria Zaccaria. He is the founder of the Clerics Regular of St. Paul, also known as the Barnabites, which is the religious order that's just right down the street from us at Our Lady of the Rosary, so our neighbors. And actually, a lot of them, when they first start out building that church, and this church was going, they helped to build the school here, and then they sent all their Italian kids here to the school. And now they're all spread out. But so we want to keep them in our prayers and their community as we celebrate their feast day today for their founder. And today, as we dive in the scriptures, we hear Jesus give this quote. He quotes a scripture passage. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. And he quotes this from there it goes, Micah and Hosea. Micah and Hosea. And actually, what's going on in their time is very similar to what Amos is describing in our first reading. We have this pattern of Israel. It's a pattern of fallen humanity, not humanity, fallen humanity. And the pattern is, we do well and then we start sinning, and we do well and we start sinning. And when we're in this transition of doing well and slipping into the habits of sin or the patterns of sin, what happens is sometimes we can fool ourselves thinking we're okay because we're obeying the externals of religion. So in other words, back in Micah's days and Hosea's days, Israel was fulfilling all the law on the surface. They were still going to worship and still offering all the sacrifices that God required. And they're still doing all these things of their religion on the outside, but on the inside in their hearts and just the rest of their life on non-religious days, they're just doing whatever they want, live however they want. It's just like what Amos described here in the first reading a little bit, when is this Sabbath going to be over so we can go back to selling our grain and our wheat, so we can go back to making some money? When will these new moon feasts and festivals finally be over? So that, they're celebrating the feast days and the celebrations, and they're celebrating the Sabbaths and doing their worship obligation, giving their service, their dutiful service to God. But their heart's not in it. And so God gives this command in the days of Micah and this command in the days of Hosea. And Jesus gives the same command here, the same instructions here in his day. I desire mercy, not sacrifice. Go and learn the meaning of those words. Now, for us to do that, we cannot take our 21st century definition of mercy and sacrifice and plug it in and think we know the meaning of those words. You got to go back to Jesus' day, and really got to go back to Micah's day and Hosea's day when these words were first being used. And what did they know or mean by mercy and sacrifice? And then we get the real meaning. So we know, though, when you look up the word mercy here, in this Greek version, and if you go back in the Old Testament, see the Hebrew, mercy, the word has many meanings. And we just get the one meaning, mercy. Actually, a stronger translation would say kindness. The word here in the Greek and in the Hebrew can mean kindness, mercy, steadfastness, and faithfulness. These are all relational terms. When we look at the word for sacrifice, it's not just offering us, it's not just sacrificing. Sacrifice is always related to worship, and especially going to the temple or offering an animal sacrifice. And there's all kinds of sacrifices depending on what you were going to worship for. You have the sin sacrifices, peace sacrifices, straight whole burnt offering, worship sacrifices. There's all kinds of different sacrifices. Even when you relate this to the pagans, So pagan just meaning non-Israelites, but still people who had religion but worship multiple gods. This is kind of a mentality that Israel would slip into, and we can slip into it today as well. So what they were doing is they're still doing their religious observance, but they're just offering a sacrifice to God or to the gods so that they have peace or they get favor, or that God leaves them alone so that these gods will leave them alone so they can just keep on their business. And that's how we can treat God sometimes. We come and we do all the obligations. I do my daily mass, I'm doing my rosary, I'm saying my prayers, and why are you letting this bad stuff happen to me? I'm doing my part, You should be giving me favor and peace. So sacrifices always have to do with worship, specifically animal sacrifice in the temple. What you could say is we have this internal relationship of the heart versus an external actions of religion. And God is saying here, I desire mercy, not sacrifice. I desire mercy, kindness, steadfast faithfulness, over and above mere external religious duty services. It's helpful sometimes to tie it all together and just plug in the word kindness instead of mercy. I desire kindness and not sacrifice. Because sometimes kindness is the greatest sacrifice. Sometimes it's easy to come inside here and put some money in the offering, or to donate money to the poor. But to be kind to somebody who takes your seat at church, kind to somebody who's upsetting you in the parking lot after Mass on Sunday, kind to people who have no shame of their sin, public sinners, like the tax collectors and sinners that Jesus is eating with. Sometimes kindness just with ourselves and treating ourselves well. Make sure we're getting the right amount of food and exercise and healthy playtime and the right amount of sleep. Sometimes kindness is the greatest sacrifice that we can make. And don't forget our kindness to God. Steadfast faithfulness, kindness to God. There's more you could reflect on, but that's a good start for us today. I desire kindness, not sacrifice. How will you be kind to someone today, even if it causes you great sacrifice?